Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Butterfly Effect talk show. My name is Della.
I'm Felicia.
And I'm Colleen.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight as we are talking about homeopathy. What is it? How does it work? Why should you choose homeopathy? We'll be right back. Stay with us. And we're back. Welcome back to another Butterfly Effect talk show. Tonight, we are going to hear from an expert on the subject of homeopathy, our very own Felicia De Candia.
I'm so excited. Hello, and welcome to our show tonight.
It's very exciting. So when we picked this topic, we decided to speak on anxiety and depression because there's a lot of people right now who are suffering from anxiety and depression. Do you agree, ladies?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think with us being isolated for so many months through COVID, that this is a new pandemic, right? It's that people are suffering from mental health crisis, I think.
Yes.
My opinion.
So true. And so the more we talk about different ways to alleviate depression and anxiety and mental health in general, the better we can help one another. And so homeopathy is one of those topics that not a lot of people are aware of. I think perhaps a lot of people want to find out more. And so what better way than to have an expert actually talk to us in simple words all about homeopathy and how it helps. But first, before we start, ladies, I want to invite our viewers to communicate with us through the chat box. So leave us comments, let us know that you're watching, let us know who you are. And if you have any questions or comments about homeopathy, please do share with us. We promise to read the comments and give a chance for our expert to answer your comments, your questions. And definitely we'd like to hear from your experiences. Okay, so Colleen, why don't you start us off and then we'll get the night started.
I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that while today's discussion is focused on anxiety and depression, Felicia has agreed to answer any of our questions to the best of her ability, specific to homeopathy. So I think a lot of us know the word, have heard the word, but aren't so sure what that means. So Felicia, what is homeopathy?
Well, I would actually like to start first with maybe explaining to some of our audience who does not know who I am, maybe a few words about who I am and how I became a homeopath.
Oh yeah, who are you?
Sorry, I forgot.
And then we can dive in right into homeopathy 100%.
What makes you an expert?
Yes, my experience alone.
Yeah, no
kidding. So my full name is Paula Felicia De Candia, and I'm a mother of 3 beautiful daughters. And I'm also a former professional ballet dancer. Now, I became a homeopath after a very tragic accident, resulting in me having an injury and torn my ACL in my left knee, which really left me debilitated, not only physically, forcing me to restructure my entire life and reconsider my career, but also left me devastated mentally and emotionally, as you can only imagine. And that's one of the reasons I picked this topic, because I've experienced bouts of it, of lows and highs, and was you can just imagine, after a whole life being in a professional ballet art school, right in the midst of expressing my my everything I've learned throughout the years, I was cut short basically in the middle of my performance. So now I hold a degree in homeopathic medicine and health sciences. I'm a regulated professional homeopath here in Toronto, Canada, and I'm registered with the Ontario College of Homeopaths. Also, I'm an active member of the Ontario Homeopathic Medical Association, where I'm honored to be the vice president and be part of the board of directors and executive committee. I'm also honored to be selected on a board of directors for the Ontario Homeopathic College and HTSF Canada. And I'm a committee director for the Canadian Homeopathic Conference. So as you can see, I'm passionately, wholeheartedly involved in my profession. I live and I breathe for what being healthy stands for. And having gone through my own healing journey, I became passionate about mental health, especially stress and anxiety, and the benefits of homeopathy. So I became a heart-based healer, and I'm passionate about teaching my patients how to maintain their health, how to regain their strength in order to overcome emotional imbalances, and in order to live life to the fullest in health and in harmony with themselves and with others. Now, my own experience has taught me that health isn't in the hands of any one single health profession. That is when I decided to continue my studies, becoming certified in many other healing modalities. And I ended integrating all of them into my practice. So I've studied nutrition, body talk, reflexotherapy, lifestyle analysis, health and wellness coaching, mindful meditation, shaman's healing, and the list goes on. I'm not going to just continue. But I honestly, my primary mandate as a regulated health professional is to help release suffering. And my passion does not stop there. And it involves teaching and providing you with the tools of knowledge and options you may not be aware you have when it comes to health. So that kind of sums me.
So that's you in a nutshell.
Yes.
That's a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Felicia, by the way.
So, yeah, and I've been practicing for over 18 years now. Now, let me, I'm going to start with a question before I dive into homeopathy. And please, at any point, feel free to stop me and ask me anything. Like, I may use terms or terminologies that may not be familiar to you and I may not be aware. So I'm going to try my best to explain in very, very, as you said, Colin, very simple ways. But I'm going to throw the question at you before I go and explain it. What's homeopathy to you? You both can step in your own words what you believe to be.
Ooh, good question. Good question. So homeopathy to me is I guess it's an alternative form of medicine. So not the conventional type, and so more alternative and more natural. That's what I'm thinking. Basically, homeopathy to me is a way to address the source of the problem, not just the Band-Aid to get rid of pain, but really addressing where it really comes from. That's what homeopathy is to me.
Wow, Della, you passed. You covered parts of the truth about homeopathic medicine. Absolutely. Okay. Good job.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to basically repeat a lot of what you just said. But so for me, homeopathy is a form of healing that boosts your own body's ability to heal itself. It's a natural way of addressing symptoms that we may have every day or occasionally, and it is a like you said, a more natural way of doing that.
That's cool.
That's my
Very good. Oh, ladies, you impress me.
We passed.
We've been listening to you, Felicia.
Yeah.
We really do listen.
True enough.
I'm
True
just
enough.
I'm
If
just
you hang
gonna
around with
interject.
me for a little bit, you will definitely know what homeopathy is and how it works.
So I will just interject that there's a Facebook user. So if you haven't allowed Facebook to let us see your name, then we won't see a name. But a Facebook user says, "Good evening to everyone. Hello from Simcoe County, Ontario, Canada. I am wondering if I can join the conversation tonight." Definitely could join the conversation via the chat. We will read your comments and definitely your questions, and absolutely. So we'd be happy to hear from you. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry about that.
I do have my Facebook open, and that was coming from Neil. His name is Neil. I think that's
well,
a gentleman's name.
welcome.
And I replied, and I noticed that mine also says Facebook user. That was me.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what is homeopathy? It's extremely hard to come up with a definition, and you will understand by the end of today or tonight a show why. It is an exceptionally safe and a green system of medicine. And despite the controversies we face as a profession, it is very scientific type medicine with repeated and repeatable experimentation and observation used in clinical studying and trials, proven to be one of the safest form of medicine that treats the whole individual, honoring the innate wisdom ability of the body to heal itself naturally and on its own. Just exactly what you said, Della and Colin, both of you. Now, it is equally helping maintaining a good health as well as helping recovering from an ill health. And like all forms of medicine, even those that use powerful drugs and high technology surgeries, relies on its effect. And that is of the effect of the body's own powers of self-regulation and self-healing. Now, since its development, over 200 years ago, homeopathy has benefited millions of people, young and old, from all walks of life, in all countries or most countries around the world. From Gandhi to the royal family, people use it. And you may wonder, why is it green? Why did I say that it's a green medicine? And I want to reassure you that it's amazing because homeopathic medicine doesn't have any harsh chemicals or toxic byproducts. And it's very gentle for people and for the planet. And that really makes me happy that I'm a homeopath. It's one of the reasons too. So that's basically homeopathy in a nutshell.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if I misunderstood this, but from our discussions, I understand that the remedies that you would recommend to your clients or your patients, those remedies, because they're boosting your own inner body, that there is not a risk of overdose. So you get the benefit without all those side effects that come from, some conventional medicines. Is that accurate?
Yes. So basically, it tells into or it ties into safety of homeopathic medicine. And yeah, absolutely. Homeopathic remedies don't have side effects. That's one of the reasons why people should consider homeopathic medicine as a medicine to use for their illnesses, for their challenges, for their everything. Really, I use it for everything.
I love it. Who would benefit from homeopathy, Felicia?
As I said, all walks of life, all ages. There is not one person that I can say, or one condition that I can say, well, that homeopathy cannot help. But I could say that in emergency situations, right, when you have a heart attack, or you have, then you need the medical conventional approach to. However, homeopathic medicine works beautifully in coma states. It revives people. If there is vitality left, the body is just incredible how fast it works. I do want to say one more thing about homeopaths, because a lot of people are asking, what kind of education do you have as homeopathic physicians? What's that? How does that work for you guys? So the training can be anywhere between 3 years to 7, depending on which school you go to and how intense it is. And we are trained in homeopathic medicine and health sciences and learn the basic biomedical sciences, just like the MD does. So we learn everything from anatomy to physiology, biochemistry, pharmacology, along with natural therapies like nutrition, botanical medicine, Chinese medicine, Bach flower remedies, and the list goes on. We primarily focus on getting specialized in homeopathic medicine. So I hope that kind of sums it.
Yeah, I think that I know that for me that was a big surprise at the intense education that's involved, because a lot of people think that it's like some random you know what I mean? Like I've heard people kind of minimize the amount of education that it takes to, because it's not conventional medicine, that it can't possibly be as serious as that. But you know, what I'm hearing from you is that it's absolutely taken seriously, and it's the same as if you went to nursing school or you went to, you know, to be a midwife or whatever area you choose. Homeopathy is equally as an intense program to get to the end of that. So
it is
thank
very
you for explaining
intense.
that.
And don't be fooled thinking that, okay, 4 years, 3 years, 7 years, you're done and you're done studying. In fact, it's a type of medicine that you constantly have to study. There is constantly something else yet that you have not learned, that you have not understood, that you have not. It's incredible. It's the same, like, I think, positive thinking.
Yeah.
You know, it's constantly there are, or nutrition. Take nutrition, for example. Oh my gosh, the studies every 6 months is something else. That science, what science? Every 6 months there is something new.
Yeah.
Right. So let me go back to kind of
I do have a question before you move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like I think it's more of an observation, but I want you to clarify that too. People don't usually go see a normal doctor, a conventional doctor, if there's nothing wrong with them. People wait till there's something wrong with them. Then we go see a doctor, tell me what's wrong with me, fix me. With homeopathy, I feel like, and you said that in your definition, it's really, it's about maintaining health. And it's, I think, and please tell me if this is a correct observation, I would go to a homeopathy not to fix something, but to prevent something.
Absolutely. That's a good way of, very good catch, actually. Del, I'm impressed with your attentiveness and honestly active listening. I'm actually impressed with that. I'm reading a book called Messages, and I'm realizing how sometimes I deviate from the moment in the, you know, and I'm not as I would like to be when it comes
I could refer you.
Office. Let me make it sure that outside my office.
I could refer you to a homeopathic expert. She'll help you with that.
Funny enough, I do have a homeopath for myself.
Of course you would, right? Because it's okay. So continue, please.
So absolutely. So maintaining health and preventing disease or deterioration of health, it's extremely important. So homeopaths are not there to just correct the illness or find the source from which the problems or the symptoms you are faced with are coming from, but are also there to educate you and remove the obstacles to cure, so your body functions optimally at all times on all levels. So that goes mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. It's not just one aspect of your being. So going to see a homeopath, it's like it's almost like going to school to learn about your body, learning about your health, learning how to maintain your health on all levels at all times.
So something that you just said, I think it's important to stress, because I think that I didn't know this before, is you talked about the 4 pillars, the 4 areas that homeopathy actually addresses. So when you go to the conventional doctor, you're usually talking about physical ailments. And then sometimes you might talk about mental health. But you just mentioned the 4 pillars. Can you say them again and maybe elaborate a little bit on what that means?
So as mentioned earlier, it's a system of medicine that treats the whole person. So what does that mean? You're not just a physical being. You have a mental body, you have a physical body, you have an emotional and spiritual. Those are the 4 components that makes us humans.
Yeah.
So if all of them are not balanced, then your health is not balanced. So therefore, sooner or later, whatever weighs down, right, will disturb the entire individual. And that's how it starts, right? You start with one symptom, let's say a headache or a tummy ache or constipation, or you name it, one symptom. And if that symptom is, let's say, looked upon, this hurts, let me go and take something, I don't know. Let's give an example of headache, go and get an Advil. And then you have a stomach ache, you go get, I don't know, what do people take from Shopper John for stomach? I don't even know. So actually I do. Pepto-Bismol, let's say, because you have Pepto-Bismol, because you have, I study pharmacology too, so absolutely I have to understand. So one by one, you take conventional over-the-counter medication or prescribed medication, and the main difference really, because now we're talking, we go from one thing to another, and which is fine, it's fine. The idea of how, not the idea, the main difference between homeopathy approach and conventional approach is that with a homeopathic doctor, primarily his scope of practice is to remove obstacles to cure, to stimulate your own body to heal by focusing on healing instead of focusing on suppressing your symptoms. That's the main difference. So the ideal to cure is to remove everything that's causing the problem and help your body heal. So it's the remedies they work like catalysts in the body, awakening the body to do what innately the body already knows how to. And the example that I like to give all the time is when you break an arm or a leg. What do the doctor do? Puts a cast on, provided that it's not fractured such that it's not aligned. So if there is a fracture and it's bent, let's say, right, like this. Let's say this is the leg and it's bent. Then the doctor will put a cast on to align it back like this. And the cast sits there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on how bad the fracture was. And who heals? Does the doctor heal you?
No,
or does the body heal itself?
Yeah, your body.
That's my point. That's exactly how homeopathy does. The homeopathy, if you had a fracture and you are like this, the homeopathy will give you a little push, and it kind of, your body bounces back to what it's supposed to. And then it's like, I'm supposed to be here, so I'm going to stay there. Naturally, it does it on its own anyway. It's just the homeopathic remedy will give you that push, like, hello, wake up. You have work to do here. That's basically
the
easiest way.
I'm totally sold on homeopathy, but I know there are a lot of people who are not. And so my question to you is, what do you think is really preventing people in giving this a try? Because I know a lot of people who could use this and they don't.
Honestly, I do not know what's preventing people from trying, or I will say ignorance. And why I'm saying that is because we have been taught throughout the years that when you get sick, you seek help from the doctor, and the doctor will now help you manage the illness. So I come from a different perspective, 100% the other way, 360. Come to me so I can teach you how to maintain and take care of your health. So you will never get sick such that you need to take care of your disease, of your illness, of your problems. That's kind of the easiest way from my perspective.
Yeah.
Now, funny I say this, but the truth is we all won't look for answers unless we have problems. Like, how did I end up in homeopathic medicine was that I broke my leg. Prior to that, I was bulimic, actually. Nobody knows. I've never talked about that. But in ballet school, I don't think many girls that are in professional ballet schools that are not bulimic or anorexic at one point or another for short period or for long period. I was hospitalized. I'm not going to go into it today because that's not the purpose of today's session, or talk. But we seek help only when we get sick. So I was brought up in a family with a grandmother that was a nurse in the World War II, and our way of getting well when we were sick was to use herbs and everything that was in the kitchen to treat our illnesses. So my mentality was natural occurring substances to heal the sick body, right? So absolutely, I broke my knee. I went to seek help from a homeopath. And believe it or not, I had no surgery and I had no medication for pain at all except Arnica montana and another remedy that was specific to my constitution at the time. And to this day, I'm good. Like my knee is still there and I'm still walking normal and I can still dance and all that. So going back to your question, Della, it's honestly, and it's also, remember, when you come to a homeopath, it's not like I'm gonna give you a prescription. You go take the prescription and you take the medication and voila, symptoms are gone. You come to me, you've got to want to work to improve your health. It's like going to the gym. If you get a trainer, you look amazing, you build muscles, you build your body, you toned, everything is wonderful, but then you stopped. What happens to the body? It goes back to what it was before. You lose the muscle mass, the form, it's different, you feel different. So you have to want to spend time to learn and to educate yourself. What am I doing that it's causing this? What is the obstacle to cure? So give you an example of the obstacles to cure. Let's imagine you have a back pain and you are a child, and I'm bringing this up because I'm seeing children with these backpacks, and the backpack is full of books and notebooks and lunches and water and you name it. And you have to walk to school for 15 minutes, 20 minutes every day. And you go to a chiropractor saying, I'm in horrible pain. I can't stand straight. So no matter what the chiropractor does, no matter what I do as a homeopath, giving remedies for the pain and online perhaps naturally awaken your body to heal, if you constantly carry that heavy weight on your back, you're going to end up with the pain. So what's the obstacle to cure here? Is the backpack full of books. Get a trolley or something, pull it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So remove it. So that
I'm
way,
just noticing the time. And so, Felicia, would you like to start with remedies about anxiety and depression, or would you like to start with a question that we got last week?
Oh, we had a question last week?
We did.
Yeah, we had a question about homeopathy.
By the way, I am so terribly sorry. I have tried to get onto our Butterfly Effect Facebook page, and I have not had success. So I have not been able to like or comment on any of the comments from last month's talk. So that's sure. Okay. Let's bring it on. Is it linked to what we're talking tonight?
It's different than anxiety and depression, but it is a question about homeopathy.
Okay.
So last week, when we announced that we were talking about homeopathy this week, Stephen responded and he said that he had a couple of years ago experienced a stroke. And as a result of that, he has some, and I'm just going to look at my notes for the terminology. He has neurofatigue and also depression as a result of the stroke. So what would, if Stephen were to come into your office, what would that look like? What would you say? What would you do? And what would you recommend for him?
Well, in Steve's case, what I will say is that I will have to take a complete, thorough case analysis with him, because it's considered a chronic condition because it's been with him for many years. And it cannot be treated as something that's, temporary or acute. So therefore, in order for me to determine what he needs, I will have to really take a complete intake of everything, understanding him on all levels, as I said, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's the only way I can help him. It's not an easy answer. Like, it's not a quick fix in his case.
Right.
Just as it is not with anxiety and depression either. However, throughout life, most of us at one point or another experience moments of anxiety, moments of depression, in which case you can treat those moments as acute states in which we, based on our circumstances, we experience. And that's when you can use the homeopathic remedies that I'm about to share with you. However, let me make it clear that if these symptoms persist longer than weeks, months, or years at the time, that it's no longer considered an acute state. So therefore, you need a thorough case taking by a professional homeopath to be able to help with that.
So if I heard you correctly, if you have a chronic or a long-term, something that goes beyond a couple of months,
yes,
then you would need a full assessment. But if it's acute, or like I ate something, now my stomach's upset, or mm-hmm. I'm stressed about, and I know the example you've used excuse me, was I'm nervous about I'm anxious about a presentation that I'm doing. That's what you're talking about today. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So absolutely. So let's dive into this anxiety, depression, mm-hmm. and you see let's see how we view it. So let's talk about elements labels, right? Which are anxiety disorder or depression or grief or extreme sadness, right? Those symptoms are really labels of conveniences for homeopaths. And in fact, psychology and psychiatry have divided and subdivided human behavior into hundreds of categories and gained valuable knowledge by doing that. So homeopathy uses these labels too. But we never lose sight of the whole individual behind that level. So the truth is, very few diseases are wholly psychologically or wholly physical. Because you see, mind and body affect each other interminably. And they are connected. So let me explain a bit. So mental health, it's a relative thing which depends completely on what is acceptable or tolerable to the individual and the community in which one lives. Please stop me if I don't make sense, okay? Now, let's talk about it a bit. So if you have anything to add, please add it. So let's say if you find your thoughts and emotions uncomfortable, or if you are worried by certain aspects of your behavior, that in itself, it's a recognition of imbalance. So if your family, another example is like if your family or society finds your behavior outrageous or damaging, you'll be labeled, unfortunately, mentally ill. It doesn't matter if you agree with that level or not. So why seek homeopathy is because we look at it differently. As I said earlier, we remove the obstacles, we understand who you are on all levels. So anxiety, shall we talk about anxiety first, or should we talk about depression first? Which comes first, the chicken and the egg?
I think anxiety is a good topic, because anxiety goes hand in hand with a lot of different mental health problems. So if you could talk about anxiety, I would like that.
So, okay, so what do you guys think? So let's have an interaction here. How do you define anxiety? Let's see, have you experienced anxiety?
So an example that I was going to ask you about is I have a job interview. Mm-hmm. And so I would qualify that as anxiety. I'm worried about it. You know what I mean? I want to do well. I put a lot of pressure on myself. If I were to come to you and say, this is going to happen, and I'm like really stressing about it, mm-hmm. what would you say? How would that appointment go?
Okay. First of all, I don't have enough information to be able to give you anything.
Okay.
And the reason being is, and I thought I should discuss this before, but now we kind of dive into this, but I have to see, in order to prescribe a homeopathic remedy or prescribe a homeopathic medicine, the homeopath must understand the totality of the symptoms. So details such as location, sensation, what's the modality? In other words, what makes it better? What makes it worse? Do you have alternating or concomitant symptoms at the same time? In other words, with your headache, do you feel like you need to drink cold water? As a silly example, right? So, and there are some characteristic symptoms that we have to look at. And what are those characteristic symptoms? Let me give you an example. Okay.
So if we're talking about anxiety and I have a job interview, mm-hmm. What would you ask me?
So I'll ask you, okay, so tell me more about your feeling before the job interview. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I feel overwhelmed. My heart feels like it's pounding a mile a minute, and I'm worried that I'm going to mess up. And so I don't want to look bad. I want to impress them. I want them to like and see me as their employee. And so is there anything more that you need to know from me in this situation to be able to help me?
Okay. Is there anywhere in the body, head to toe, mm-hmm. where you feel something when you go through this experience, these thoughts? What do you feel?
Well, my stomach feels upset because you know what I mean? Like I'm worried about it. And so I get that feeling in my stomach, and I feel tense, in my shoulders.
In the stomach. What's that feeling in the stomach?
It's just like butterflies. It's just.
Uh-huh. Okay. Do you get sweaty? Does your heart palpitate?
Well, yeah. So my heart feels like it's racing a little bit. Pardon me?
Any other sensations? Anything else that you can tell me?
Yeah, so my heart is racing. I feel tense, which leads to a little bit of a headache, because I know when I get tension in my neck, it usually leads to a headache. I just feel nervous. I just feel very nervous and uneasy, and I'm trying to explain, because it's a fictional thing, so I'm trying to be realistic. So
what is there anything that you've noticed that will make it better for you when you go through these moments, when you go through this experience?
My mindset, if I focus on changing my mindset, maybe take some deep breaths, sometimes that helps.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And anything that makes it worse?
Thinking about messing up.
Okay. And how long does it last for you?
Well, I wasn't able to sleep, and I'm going into the appointment, and and I want to be able to feel calm when I go in there. But now I didn't sleep very well last night, and now I'm worried about it. And so now I'm worried about looking good, and I'm also worried about the fact that I'm tired, and so I'm not going to be as sharp as I could be.
Okay. Well, there is a remedy for you, actually. It's called gelsemium, and it will help with these sensations you've mentioned. They are used before interviews, before exams, before traveling, if you have that anxiety wrapping up and, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And you get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So see, this is kind of how it goes. Like, I have to understand even acutely in that moment what you go through, and I need to understand, are your hands sweaty, your stomach fine, your headache, your neck is tense, you get nervous. So all this is very, very important. I do have a case that I would like to share with you guys, that I think it's sort of linked to what you said, but it's a completely different remedy, and I want to make sure that I leave you guys with at least 2 remedies, if not 3, that you can use if you are to experience this anxiety prior to these situations.
Perfect.
So, how are you, Della? Do you have any questions? Do you want to talk about your anxiety?
No, I think I'm willing to listen.
Okay. So, I had this little girl. She's a 12-year-old. She loved to dance and perform, but she dreaded to be faced in front of a new audience. So unless the audience were people that she was comfortable with, that she knew already, it was just not possible for her to go out there and perform. So her mother put her in competitive dance because she was extremely talented, and brought her to me because each time this little girl was about to go on stage, she will go into attacks of sweats. Her makeup will run down the cheeks, her leg will shake, her hands will sweat, her heart will race. And once in the middle of the stage, she will just freeze. So that happened quite a few times until even the teachers were fed up with her and took her off the performing team, leaving her in tears, of course, and devastated. And her way to manage this situation was to eat a lot of sweets. Then she will have days where she will have diarrhea, followed by days where she will have constipation. Talking to this little girl, she shared with me that she hated hot, stuffy rooms as well. Since she was very little, she just hated that environment. So I gave her this homeopathic lycopodium. And it's only in one dose, like 1 dose of lycopodium, 30 CH, fixed this little girl anxiety. She resumed dancing and performed happily without the debilitating symptoms, and reactions. So, yeah, like, make note of this, because if you experience anxiety about a new situation or any situation in that matter that involves performing in front of audiences, and if you crave sweets, and if you feel worse in hot, stuffy rooms.
So she took, for this particular patient, she took 1 dose, and that helped her get over the hurdle.
Yes. Now,
wow. Wait a minute.
Okay, but I want to know. Okay, the correlation between all of this, the feeling anxiety and the craving sweets and the hot stuffy room. Like, what is all that telling you?
So let's talk about remedies then, so you understand, or rather maybe the principles of homeopathy, because that's kind of will make you understand where I come from.
Okay.
So the basic principle of homeopathy, it's governed by the law of similars. I think I mentioned that in our last month talk. So in other words, a substance that triggers symptoms of a particular disease naturally can also be used to treat that same disease. Okay? And there are two other aspects of principles of homeopathy that people don't usually talk about, but I would like to bring it up, and you'll understand in a little bit why I'm bringing them up. Now, remedies are made from natural sources. They could be made out of plants, out of minerals, anything in nature, really. And what's amazing about that, we need a very small percentage of a natural source, and we dilute that and make it into a homeopathic remedies. So the greater this dilution, the greater the potency, which this is governed by the law of infinitesimal. That's what's called. And the other basic principle of homeopathy is that an illness is specific to the individual. And I wanted to mention this because you see all these little symptoms of this little girl. If I was to take lycopodium, which is a plant, and I will give it to a healthy person who has no symptoms whatsoever, will develop those same symptoms that this child had. So therefore, I gave her lycopodium, so that treated her like instantly, because this law of similars, likes cures likes, just triggers the healing in instant. That's why it's important to take a totality of the symptoms in each individual, because you may have anxiety, or no, anxiety might not be the good example. You may have, let's say, anything. Let's say you may have diabetes, you may have cancer, you may have say something because nothing comes to mind right now, strep throat. You may come anything. And let's say you have 5 individuals with the same disease. Most probably than not, in homeopathy, all of them will take completely different remedies.
Cool.
So that's kind of and now brings me to the remedies. The remedies, when given constitutionally, which is understanding the whole individual, right, on all levels, will act on your vital force, giving you more energy, more confidence, and help you to sort out your problems. So homeopathy treats only one entity, and that entity is called the vital force. So now you probably say, okay, so what is vital force? So vital force is the engine that drives every aspect of individual behavior. So thoughts and feelings are just as important as bumps and lumps, because it's extremely hard, it's impossible actually, to draw a line between balance and imbalance, especially on the mental and emotional level. Does it make sense? Okay.
Totally makes sense. Totally. And I think it's really great what you just talked about. But I do have a question, because you said if someone who doesn't have those same symptoms takes that remedy that was given to that little girl, may actually develop those same symptoms that the remedy was supposed to have cured. And now we earlier talked about these natural remedies having no side effects. So I just,
as I said, you are right on. You are right on, and I'm so grateful that you pay attention and you are such an active listener. Very true. So in order to develop symptoms, to find out what remedy can treat what problems, we have a process that's called proving. So in order for you to develop those symptoms, you will have to take it in a systematic way to develop the symptoms for us to record them, to understand what disease can we treat with that particular remedy or that particular substance. So if you just take lycopodium, you go right now to the store, or you come to me and say, okay, I want lycopodium 30 because I'm sure now after your talk, I need lycopodium 30. So you take it, nothing will happen. This is the beauty of it. If you take it once, nothing will happen. If you keep on taking it, you might develop symptoms. However, let me reassure you that those symptoms will be short-lived and extremely temporary, because they don't do anything for you. They just don't. If it's not, that's the beauty of homeopathy. That's why there is no side effects.
Cool.
Yeah. So you may wonder why use homeopathy, right? Why not just go and take, over-the-counter medication and that's at your fingertips. It's fast. You don't have to learn how to use it. You just read the label and you use it, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to understand yourself at all levels: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. So I want to mention this because there is a myth out there and a misunderstanding and misbelief that homeopathic medicine takes a long time to see results. If you are to see a homeopathic, maybe this is one of the reasons people don't try homeopathy, because they somehow believe that homeopathic treatment will take a long time to treat, to cure, to find relief to your symptoms, to your problems. But you see, when homeopathic initial consultation and assessment is taken by a professional homeopath, it provides rapid improvement of symptoms. And remember, I'm emphasizing this, with relief from healing without suppressing. And there are no side effects. And there are no harmful drug interactions. And the only thing that's kind of is like, what else can you do? This is the part that I like the most. It has a high potential to help you heal such that will reduce or eliminate the need for medication.
I love that.
So, yeah, use homeopathy. Look into it. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
There is one more remedy, because I'm looking at the time, we have like 6 minutes. I want to put one more remedy, only because it can be used for anxiety and for depression. And we haven't discussed much about depression, but I think this remedy will sum it. So this remedy, it's Ignatia amara, that's the name of it. And it's considered the homeopathic Prozac. And I am saying this because Prozac, if you look at the list of side effects, only looking at it, you get sick. Mm-hmm. Only reading about it. Mm-hmm. So here it is. Ignatia is used, if you want, make notes of it because it's important. Emotional shock. Any emotional shock, think Ignatia, like this, okay? Very common anxiety is the one followed by the loss of a loved one or a breakup of a relationship with a loved one that is perceived as an emotional shock, like it's like a shock, right? If you experience grief after the loss of a loved one, that seems to stay with you for a long time, think Ignatia again. If you are hypersensitive to noise, to light, to pain and emotions, and sometimes you feel as if you have a lump in your throat, you sob with pain, and when you are distressed, you cry so bad that you just sob. You can't stop thinking, Ignatia. So, yeah. And
so I know that the first time you listed all of these remedies with me when we were chatting about this is that I don't know how to spell any of these things. Is there any way that you can provide us with a resource where we can see, because I'm a visual person,
absolutely,
what you're talking about?
Absolutely. I can, yeah, those are 3 remedies we talked about: Gersenium, Lycopodium, and Ignatia. I can list them on, or better yet, send me an email if you're listening. And I'll be more than happy to provide you with those remedies that we discussed and their symptoms. And if by any chance you would like to purchase them, to have them in your toolkit at home or in your purse, right? Because these are things that people experience all the time. That's why I brought them up. It's normal. Even speaking in public, no matter how good you are, no matter how excited you are about your topic, I, including myself, remember, Colleen, actually, remember how nervous I was before our very first talk on this
You
topic?
were. We both were. Della was laughing at us because we were working each other up.
And then factor in the fact that I was a professional ballet dancer. I was a model. I was an actress. I was a performer. And here I am on this talk show, sitting in front of a computer and going completely nuts. I actually took like a podium. Totally, that calmed me down. Della, you mentioned you calmed down. Remember you mentioned?
Oh, absolutely.
I
It was,
used to
and
talk
it
with
was,
the
and
remedies.
I remember being surprised because I spoke to you an hour before the show, or within hours before the show, and then you took it in the interim, and then you came on to the show, and you were just like, yeah.
So with something like this, then you're saying it's one of those things that if I'm about to go, let's say if someone is nervous about flying, for example, because I know some people who are, if they take this, just
Remedy.
the one time before they go on this flight, that'll help them. So they don't have to be on this remedy for like 1,000 years before they go on this flight. They can just take it just before they go on the flight and they'll be okay.
I'm happy to hear. And again, your questions are wonderful. It does happen that sometimes you may have to repeat. See, that's why it's good to be under the care of a homeopath, even to learn to use homeopathic fast aid remedies. So, because once you learn how to understand what symptoms for which remedy and how to take them, then you can use it by yourself. In fact, next year I'm offering that at the new clinic. I'm offering a course, like a weekend course for a fast aid homeopathy, because there are 12 major remedies that you can keep in your purse at all times, and if you understand them, you can use them. Instead of running to the shop or jog mart, you run into your purse. You just open up and you use it.
I think that's fantastic.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where would I get those? Like, can I get those at the pharmacy, or do I have to go through a homeopath?
You can do both. Some natural stores like Noah's or Whole Foods, even Loblaws or Superstore in the organic section, they carry some homeopathic remedies. Mm-hmm. So yeah, or you can purchase them through a naturopath, through a homeopath, any natural clinic that carries natural products. Most probably will have some of the mostly used homeopathic fast aid. Yeah.
I think it's wonderful and very useful to be under the care of a homeopath, because you kind of develop this relationship with them. It's more than your relationship with your medical doctor or physician that you only see maybe a couple of times a year. Because with your homeopath, you really have been talking about a lot of stuff that go so much deeper than the surface, and so they know you really well, and I think that's very beneficial in your healing process and maintaining your health.
I agree, but then I'm in it, so I don't count. My opinion doesn't count.
Well, I think I think that you've given us so much today, and definitely a lot of valuable content and a lot of great information. So if people want to get in touch with you, Felicia, and they can do that via email. You were going to give people something. What was it?
So I was going to give them a PDF of the remedies that we discussed today, and throw in a few others that are used for anxiety, and to use them, to have them in their toolbox. New way of treating anxiety.
Okay.
And remember, this is mainly for anxiety that comes occasionally, not for anxiety that is maintained throughout the years, and it's unmanageable. And if you do have anxiety that comes often and you it's debilitating you, I will encourage you to look. Uh, there is a website you can go on, Ontario Homeopathic Medical Association, and there is a list of homeopaths all over Canada, and Ontario. So you can reach out to a homeopath in your area or anywhere, whomever you want. You can come to me.
Or yeah, I was gonna say contact this beautiful woman, because I don't think you need to see anyone physically. You can see them over Zoom, right? Or
That's
could
correct.
you even like have a talk with them over the phone and figure things out that way? But if people go on your email address and email you with the hashtag or with the keyword of the butterfly effect, and just tell you that they've seen you on this show, then they can get that PDF, correct?
Absolutely, yes. I'll be more than happy to send that.
Okay. I would say, are you able to offer our viewers from this show a sort of a consultation, something that perhaps maybe they've never really felt like a homeopath can help them? Could they have an initial talk with you and find out if they can be helped?
Absolutely. I offer a 20 minutes free consultation to every new potential patient that is interested in inquiring about how homeopathy can possibly help them. Absolutely, anytime. So they can reach me via this email, or I do work in Oakville at Bronte Natural Health Clinic. And the phone number there is, if you want to write it down, I can give it to you. It's 905-825. Oh my goodness, let me see.
You caught her off guard.
That's so funny. I got caught. I know. Okay, so 825-8787. If I see the numbers, I remember.
Here's the number. I've got it here. People can take that down. 905-825-8787.
Yes, that's the number. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I learned so much about homeopathy today, and I think it's a great alternative. Just another sort of healing and taking care of our health and body, taking responsibility for our own health, and starting somewhere really basic would be to speak to a homeopath and really learn about how everything that you experience maybe really something easy that you can take care of using very, very natural remedies. So I'm really
So I
thankful.
want to add this just for everyone to know that a homeopath will not just prescribe homeopathic remedies and that's it. We discuss lifestyle. As I said, we study other natural modalities and nutrition and lifestyle changes for you to maintain and restore your health. So it's not just remedies.
It's a holistic
It is a holistic approach.
Yeah.
100%. It's a holistic medicine. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect.
I forgot to put that word in there.
Well, thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed myself. What about you, Colleen?
You know what? It always is so interesting, and that's one of the reasons why I think that we all three of us were really excited about this episode, because it is something that is often misunderstood. It's often used as a last resort when it can actually, homeopathic medicine can actually help you prevent issues and treat them. So it should be the first point of contact as opposed to the last resort. So thank you so much, Felicia, for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you.
And I strongly urge people, like, if being a healthy person is important to you, like, Felicia's the person to talk to, because and you talk about how you and I can't remember the term, it just left me, but you're a heart-centered practitioner, right? Like, you come from the heart, and And it's absolutely so. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate this. And I know that behind the scenes, the three of us will continue this conversation.
Well, our next episode is on December the 16th, and we hope to see you then. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was for sure a very educational session, and I hope it was the same for you. And with that, Felicia,
This is the butterfly effect, bringing you love,
hope.
And compassion.
Until next time, everyone.
bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.